top. Really, I'm on top. I never stop.
Well, everybody, it was a big day here at the Cinch National Finals of Team Roping. Got a couple guys that have sat up at the desk before, a couple past champions. But, Jake, this is the first time here at the US Finals, huh?
Yeah, this one's eluded me for a fair number of years. I guess I don't want to say how many, but I've been coming to this roping for a few times. And so I've placed at it a few times but never got the win. So it's kind of nice to get that one checked off.
Awesome. Andrew, good heading today, pal.
Thank you, sir. It was fun.
So we were just kind of shooting the breeze up here, like, you know, these ropings, you can't back off at all. That's one thing. So talk to me about the feel of everything through the 5-head today.
Well, I mean, if you go a little long on one, you're kind of behind by a ways, and so me and Jake do pretty good just trying to keep keep after them, keep making good, strong runs as much as we can, and so that's all we did. We just try not to back off, and drew good and made good runs, it seemed like.
Yeah. How'd it feel to you back there?
Man, everything felt good. I think, like you said, drawing good's huge. You're not going to win a big roping without kind of being on the right end of the steers. You can kind of overcome and maybe win third or fourth, but you ain't going to win first if you don't kind of draw on the right end. And Andrew did a great job, scored great all day, set them up easy, and steers were really pretty user-friendly, and everything felt good.
So let's talk a little bit. Let's go down a little bit different path. And you know, we were just talking about the Wildfire, the old straight, the Feist, and this roping back in the day. Like, Jake, what has changed? Like that same conversation we just had. Let's just have it again. Like it has, the game for you open ropers has changed a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, there's a ton of ropings that, you know, I say a ton. There's quite a few ropings that we go to that pay $10,000 to $15,000, and they're good ropings, but our fees are so high everywhere. And so, you know, you got to kind of click along pretty healthy to keep your money together. If not, you'll just fall behind. And old school felt like there was 4 monster hits. You had the Just Straight, the BFI, US Finals, and then the Wildfire. And I think the least any of them paid was $50. And so you knew, man, if I could just have one big hit throughout the year, then that kind of took care of everything. I'm going to be ahead. Now we really, you know, the BFI is the only monster hit, it feels like. I mean, the Lone Star Shootout's really good too, and then Cody Johnson, we were talking about, he's supposed to be having a roping at the end of the year that I think will be a monster too. But hopefully we get some bigger ropings going, I guess, instead of the ones where the fees are really high, and then the payout's good. I mean, today's a great roping,
sure,
but it's just the fact of like having $1,500 in fees, and then, you know, doing that over and over. The last 4 ropings we've been to, like we said, not even counting the BFI, it's $6,000 in fees. And so, I mean, if you're kind of on a drought, or even if you kind of place along, I mean, it's pretty easy to get behind on your money. So, yeah.
So what does that do to you guys? And like so you guys are having to almost hustle more than you did before, because there's, I mean, it's got to, between the rodeo and jackpot, and how are you guys balancing it all out? And how do you make the decisions? You're trying to make the finals or drive by roping that pays $16,000, $17,000.
Well, that's what we talk about. You know, skipping some that if they don't add the right money or pay the right percentage, we might not show up. But like today, pays so good, even though it's $1,500, you kind of feel like if you're roping for a living, you need to be at this one.
How do you do that, Jake? Like, how do you guys make that decision when because you got to make the finals, or trying to make the finals? That's got to be a constant balance now with so many. Whereas before you had 4 big ropings you had to go to, and I'm going to try to make the finals.
Right.
Well, now we've got a $1,500 jackpot. You still know it's going to pay $6,000, $8,000 to win.
Right.
So,
well, I think, like you said, we have a pretty good feel how many teams something's going to get and kind of what the payout's going to get. I mean, I could have gotten the ballpark of this before we ever even drove over here.
Sure.
And so, if something's going to pay $15,000, $16,000, I mean, we're going to be here. Yeah. It's a great rope when you rope for a living, like you said. I mean, you have a chance to clear $15,000 a day. I mean, that's a great day. I think it's more the kind of mediocre ropings that are wanting to be $500 a man, maybe go 2 or 3 times. There's no added money. There may be 80% payback, and it's like, man, if they don't get a ton of teams, and they're not going to get a ton of teams with that format. I mean, if you don't have added money, and if it's not kind of set up right, so I think you just kind of, you're going to go to all the rodeos. You're not going to drive by a good roping. I mean, the West Star is another good roping that we get to go to in the Northwest. And so I think ultimately you just if it's going to pay 10, 12,000, we're probably going to go to it.
Yep.
If it's not,
Yeah.
a huge way out of the way.
I know, like coming up, like the days of Reno being what it used to are gone because of BFI just getting done a week or 2 weeks ago, but now stepping up in there. So we just went up there and going to have a high fee opener open then with 30,000 added. Have to, right?
Yeah.
Like we have to, don't we?
Right. Well, and that's what, and we'll obviously be there. I mean,
Absolutely.
that'll be a great roping, and
Yep.
and it is fun to kind of keep that tradition alive during Reno.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some of the younger guys, I mean, we both grew up, the BFIs in Reno ever since I remember it. And so, and at some point, our generation will get done, and I'm sure it'll stay at Guthrie forever now. And that group of guys won't know it anywhere but Guthrie.
Yeah.
And Guthrie's a great home for it. But it's weird not having something at Reno.
Yeah.
So like I'm glad that they're stepping up and having something for us, and hopefully we can kind of entertain everybody over there.
Absolutely. So I think it'll be fun. I mean, like you say, we've spent 15 years of our lives basically,
Yeah.
out there. And so to kind of that's what we're really working on is kind of bringing that feel back. It completely different roping, but the same feel.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the Reno rodeo is so much fun. Like
Yeah.
I mean, that's a cool rodeo, and you guys can kick off your season right there, kind of
Yeah.
no matter what happens, right now, and kind of go. So
And the jackpot's going to help the rodeo too. Guys will. I mean, you don't want to skip Reno if you're a rodeo guy, but you'll get guys at the Reno rodeo that came for the roping first, and that's why that Reno rodeo was so good for so long. And the city wants us out there because all the traffic we bring in, and if you guys are stepping up with added money, you're going to get us. There's no way. I mean, it's the way we're trying to make a living. So we look at it as a job, and we're going to be everywhere we. Like today, they pay you, and it's worth riding a $100,000, $150,000 head horse, heel horse, and trying real hard, trying to make a living. So
I think that's something huge to think about too, is the fact of like, it seemed, and not even that long ago, maybe 7-8 years ago, it felt like there was a bunch of smaller ropings that you could take a younger horse to, that you could, you didn't have to go try to, you're trying to win, but it wasn't just a massive thing that day. Well, now everything we go to, it feels like the cheapest fees we have, like a cheap day is $300, and then you'll usually
you're gonna crack up the rookie on $300.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, let's go 3 times.
You need
so
to.
So you get $900 in fees.
Yeah.
And there's, you got a decent number of teams.
Yeah.
And open roping's gotten so tough now.
guys rope so good.
And you don't want to put money up and try these young horses, and
Yeah.
waste your partner's money or your money. And so, it just feels like the fees are so high that you have to be on your best horse all the time, or dang sure, one of your best too. And I think it's healing. It's not quite as hard, but for these headers, I mean, like you said, man, they're giving, all this money for these horses, and then you got to go gut them for 15 runs, and you're maybe going to win 7,500 or something. But it's like, but where's that fine line of I don't want to spend all this time losing versus, I mean? I don't want to waste my head horse.
I hadn't even thought of that angle of it at all. You're absolutely the old 4 for 40s are gone that a guy can just go enter up
Yeah.
and take your green horse and just get through them and get them some runs.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Yeah, it's kind of nice if there is a 150 a man go twice, and it's kind of you can take a deep breath, take a horse that needs to
It's
go
okay.
somewhere. If I don't win today, I'm not going to have to not
Yeah.
skip lunch on the way home. You know what I mean? Like it is kind of nice to take a deep breath every once in a while.
So what does that do then for you guys on preparation? I mean, I talked to T. Wade and Wesley here a minute ago, and we were talking about horsepower, and of course we all know what's going on with the horsepower, and we're paying $100,000 for these horses and $80,000, like 50. When 30 to 50,000 is a cheap one.
I know.
When you're almost like, what's wrong with him? for
Yeah.
30? I mean,
Yeah, right.
yeah, like
Hey, I'm looking at. I got my 6-year-old twin boys trying to buy ponies right now.
Ponies are high.
I'm like telling my wife we need to start breeding ponies.
yeah, no kidding.
I'm not
Let's get
kidding.
in this racket.
Absolutely. But how do you guys maintain that?
I really don't know. My life's kind of a gift from God, so I feel like I run into fortunate. I keep trying them and I've just been blessed by finding some that I can win on. And but that's the hard part about being a header I mean, I'm only as good as what I'm riding, so you gotta be careful and think about where you're going and stuff like that. But you also, if you don't go anywhere and then you just try to go beat the best guys, that's not going to work either. So it's the guys that are out here grinding it out against each other every day and come over here and put your name down and see how you did, and then it helps you through the summer. You know, figuring out where you was at right now help you in the summer too.
Sure. Yeah, it's an old adage, kind of cliche, but that iron sharpens iron.
For
I mean,
sure.
You guys have to do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a monster, like you said. I mean, if you can feel like you're roping good, and then you show up here to this roping, and it's like, what are these guys doing right now?
Go 7.5 a bunch of times, and
well,
then
that's the
everybody
hard
else
part.
being
I mean,
5 and 6s, and you're
Jackpot,
like,
and again, it wasn't that long ago. You know, like you could almost rope a leg. If you could rope this same roping and have a leg in place 10 years ago, you know.
Well,
And-
Speed and Rich won the U.S. Finals a couple times with
Right.
legs. I mean, you just wrote back into it, and they weren't 4-second runs catching up.
Right.
They were 5s and 6s
Yeah.
catching up.
And now it's, I mean, you got to make probably 85 to 90% of a rodeo run 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, you know, you're running kind of that red line of like, I mean, you could put any of them runs together at Reno or somewhere,
Sure.
and you'd be tickled when the rodeo was over, you know,
Yeah.
and then you got to come here and do it 5 times in a row. So, but that's back where, you know, everybody's so good now and horses are good and everybody's talent levels rise enough that the draw is really, you have to draw good. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been to some ropings, that roping at Oklahoma City. I thought we roped a great roping. We were just kind of on the wrong end of the steers all day.
And then
we
blasted
squeaked
our last
in and
one.
won 4th. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
didn't leave there thinking anything besides
fist pumping
man,
each
they
other.
just, you know, they just didn't give us the right steers. We roped great, and that's what open roping is now. And that's where I think it's tough when you talk about the ropings that, like, I'm not a fan of the top loaded things because
You've always been that way. I
Yes.
remember you pulled me aside after the first wildfire I put on and said, "Hey, Drew, it's cool. You know, we're not going to pay $50,000, but pay it down a little bit." Yeah, I remember you and I having that.
and I don't care if I'm
conversation.
high call or not even in the roping.
Yep.
Because my belief, number one, like I said, everybody's so good nowadays. There was one year at the wildfire, me and Coleman roped a great roping. We had one steer that kind of slid down in the corner just a little bit, and I had to take one extra swing. And we ended up winning 3rd by like 0.2 of a second. And so it came down to that.
Yeah.
Well, first place is 50, and I think we won 12.
Yeah.
And 12's a good day. I'm not saying that, but
Sure.
it's like it's such a huge drop from.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather the rope and pay 30 for first, and then 3rd pays 20
Yep.
because it's 30, 25, 20 or something like that. And then I think the one thing I disagree with the World Series is, I think for the betterment of the sport, you need to pay more holes at all the ropings, because I think the more people that can leave with money, the more happy everybody is. And I know the slot machine deal, and it's all good, and they all look at the headline of it paid, 25,000 or whatever it is, but 22,000 it feels just as good. And then you had 3 other guys win money
Yeah.
at the bottom.
Yeah.
So-
I've always, I mean, I've thought about that conversation you and I had a lot, actually, because it came from the guy that won the roping. You know, when you told me that,
Yeah.
you said, "Hey, I'd be more than happy sharing just so these guys, just to pay down a little bit more." And
Yeah.
I'd never thought of it that way. You
Yeah.
know, like, oh, we want to top load, the guys want to walk out. And I can't remember, it wasn't that, what was it, 15,000 or something?
Yeah.
I think you guys split 30.
Yep, I think so.
And we had to go in and kind of like, we had to pull money up to make it that even number when I should have just paid it out.
Right.
Just paid it out how it fell. Pay your 6-8 holes or whatever, and just
And I didn't used to think of it that much when I was younger. I think it's just getting
Yeah,
a little
you
bit
wanna
older
win that
and
50,000
kinda-
or-
Yeah, I mean, well, when you're younger, you kind of have the gunslinger mentality, and
Yeah.
you're really not too worried about. But then when you get a wife and kids, and you're trying to support a family, you think of the little things that make our world go around and what we're trying to do, day in and day out.
Well, even for the young guy too, that is just a tick off the pace on the day, and you give him 6,000 a day, that means a lot. I mean, I wasn't very long ago. I'm just trying to survive in these ropings, and you're like, 5th would be nice. Get my fees back, get me some diesel money, and then be able to go on. And it ends up being where we drive those teams out that are coming up. Just because they don't have the fees to go every week, and then it has gotten so high. So when you spread it out a little bit, and we're all getting an opportunity at 6-7 monies, and there might only be 50 teams, you might slip in there and win with the leg, and you're keeping your money together a little bit more, because that's what it's all about for us. We've got to pay our bills with what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys talking about it. You want to go ahead and take a look at these runs?
Yeah.
Love
Go
to.
ahead and get through it. All right, here we go. And this was our opener brought to you by our friends at Yeti. And here is run number 1. What do we got here, guys?
Man, I think pretty nice steer to start the day off on. Just kind of a nice medium right down the middle. Did a nice little check off right when the head rope went on, and kind of made a nice little rhythm run to get the day started.
I love the check right there. That makes the run fast. I'm overtaking right here and then just out the front and trying to keep momentum for Jake. And he does a great job going around him and heeling him fast.
Second steer.
This one was a little tricky. That's
that one that kind of followed you around.
Yeah, we kind of talked about him. I mean, it was great to have him because it let us. This is the steer that let us get ahead of the roping. I think we ended up being like 5-1 right there, but Andrew just dinged the barrier on a really good cow, and then same little check off deal right there, and I'm up around him and able to get him heeled fast, but on a very high percentage throw. And you get those are the steers that let you win ropings like this, and you have to take advantage of them.
Andrew, talk to me about a steer that, like you'd said before we got up here and turned everything on, like you aren't control. You don't have that steer's head the whole time because he's kind of beating you around there. Talk to me about what that feels like heading.
Oh, it feels terrible because you know that you want to get the hips to the outside for Jake right here, and then you can see me drive and pull back on my horse, try to stay in front of him, but there was none of that. Jake uses the top side of his rope and pieces it in there, or we don't catch him. And so it's not that he's not capable, but everything I'm trying to do is get the hips down the arena to him. And then when I do that, it's over. And that's where it's not getting by. We did a great job, but this one, it was definitely tougher than our other ones.
This is our third steer. Boy, he came out and just kind of made it. I didn't have it all the way back there in the boxes. That's where that video started. But he jumps out and jumps to the right, huh?
He jumps to the right and then comes back left because Jake's being aggressive, and he cuts the arena down for me. So I bet we're 5 on this cow just by the angles that the cow ran.
Yeah.
And if Jake lets that one go straight right, we're going to go, 6-8, 6-9, long 6. So that's something that teamwork brings in this, and shaving the lines. And it wasn't with our ropes. It was the way that Jake stood up there and made him come back to me, and then it just took the momentum off of him, and pretty easy run. Not a very good finish, but
yeah, you guys were 6-13 on that steer right there. Still pretty dang good run.
I felt like I got around all of them pretty good. That one I was just a little bit out of whack. Kind of had to take one more swing, which that's being pretty nitpicky about it. But
it's gonna be kind of tough right there, though, Jake. Isn't it, when they push you over right there, and then step back, and you can't be just camping right up there.
Well, unless I'm really got it on my mind. Like if we're at a rodeo or something, like I'm probably going to come with it anyway. But, like I said, we're ahead of the roping. That's kind of one of them steers where, like, there's really no need for me to try to pull a shot off. Just take one more swing, get him caught. You're still ahead of the roping.
Sure.
And Andrew did a great job on him. Like you said, that was probably kind of one of the stronger ones we had, truthfully.
Here's your fourth one.
I kind of back off the barrier on this one. Just we're ahead of the roping, which it's not a good idea to miss the barrier on purpose, and I definitely wasn't, but I just missed it a little bit, and I definitely didn't want to break it right here. And then I thought, great run in the field. I put it on there sharp, go out the front, hips down the arena, Jake around him, heel, and we probably some sort of low 6 on him.
Yeah, I think we were 6 flat, maybe.
609, yep.
Yeah, and just like he's talking about, I think me and him have roped together enough, and our styles fit really good, and that's the run that, I think we can make together a lot, jackpotting. And it's nice when you're ahead of the run, and if he wants to be a little more conservative at the barrier, it's nice to know that you can run him out there in the middle of the arena and make a sharp run and not really give away much time.
I love your position right there, Jake. Like, guys talk about being up around him for like break that down right here, being able to take this throw right here.
Well, the biggest thing, number one, is like getting a good start on the heel side. And guys feel stupid if you break the heel barrier, and it is silly to do. But again, team roping's gotten so fast nowadays that I have to be there to heel the cow. I can't just be, really, really late every time. And so I got a really good start on the heel side, and I was up around waiting on that cow, and it makes that throw. Again, it's a fast throw, but it feels like you could do it 1,000 times.
Feels like a high percentage fast throw.
Like it's super easy, and that's what Speed Williams told me that a long time ago when I was kind of trying to get better. I would take some unnecessary risk is what he said. He said it's he said it's not the fact that you throw fast, it's just you're not setting it up right.
Yeah.
And so like
Yeah, you've never had a problem throwing fast, Jake.
I'm not scared to throw it down there.
No.
You know, but for guys like, you know, Andrew and Clint that I heel for, like they don't mind me being aggressive, but they don't want me running by the corner and throwing it over my horse's head for a cool, you know, and so I'm up around in a good spot, and that's just a rhythm throw. I mean, it's not, you know, for me personally, I'm more likely to miss if I don't take that throw.
Sure.
You know, and then I kind of did the same thing in the short round.
Yeah, here's your short round, see right here.
We drew good, and I think they said we needed to be some sort of
Like
Six.
6'5" or
Six, you
something.
had
Yeah.
to be 6, yeah.
And so we had been faster than that all day, so I'm just going to where I can catch, and then same runs. I mean, we other than that one that stayed underneath me, we made 4 pretty similar runs, and what we do most of the time when we're trying to win something or doing good.
Well, that's what I think. I'm a huge fan of, you know, I think Andrew's pretty notorious for having a run, like just a nice set thing that he does every time. And, you know, to me, the greatest jackpotter ever, Clay Tryon, was that way. I mean, when I roped with him, it was, you'd be in a situation like this, and, you know, maybe you've been being 5 all day. Now all of a sudden you got to be 7 flat. So it's not a huge difference. And all it would be is Clay would give him just an extra, you know, few inches at the barrier, and then you'd go make the same run out in the arena. And as a healer, it's nice to know that, like, man, I know our run's going to stay the same. And which he got a really good go at the barrier, but
Sure.
you know, I'm sure he's
That was
thinking
by accident.
I was gonna say.
I was trying to give him more.
I'm sure he's
Biscuit
thinking,
got me that roll.
you know, just be a little conservative because he knows we can run him out in the arena and be 6'5".
That's
pretty much if we
absolutely
keep
what
him
I
in
was
there.
thinking.
And but I think that's where, like he said, you know, teamwork and it's not just with the guys that you rodeo with. You know, like me and him are second partners, so we're going to rope together a lot of jackpots, and so. You know, his first partner and with me, you kind of have to have the same chemistry and same role. And, you know, I feel like me and Colin kind of ride in the same spot. And, you know, as far as me being a healer, both of my headers that I rope with have similar styles. So, you know, it's a lot easier to stay in the rhythm that day.
Absolutely. We'll watch it one more time right here. And man, just good run. I mean, consistent roping here, guys. Really consistent. As we take a look right here, the total payout was $95,200. You guys were at $29.14. Here's the breakdown of your runs. You were $588 on your first one, $519 on the second one, $613 on that third one. That's your longest run. 6-1's your longest run.
Wow.
609 and 585. 588, 585, 519, 613, 609.
That's right in there.
That's right. Yes, sir, that is right in there. You are right about that. I'm telling you that. I mean, that is just great roping, guys. Eric and Paul, they got them for $23,050. Caleb and Wesley, $17,500. Billy Bob and Corey, $12,900. Slade and Jay. So Slade, he's been roping good. $6,450. And then JC and Bud's run.
Amazing.
I wish I'd have put it on here
We
because I have
should've.
it on my phone.
Yeah.
Well, let's pull it up. I didn't get to see it.
Here, I'll show it to you.
I'll give you the play-by-play.
Man,
all JC's rope, Bud's around the end, borderline
fast.
bag,
Well,
turn
I was gonna say,
around.
I don't-
It was
I don't think
right.
you go 4-2 on that setup easily.
No, it was just like you think.
This is no one else gets to see it but us.
Yeah, that's it. No, but nobody at home. You don't get to see this.
Andrew gave the perfect play-by-play. That is a well of a team roping run.
That was a good run right
That's
there.
a
wasn't it?
great team roping run.
I mean, at a jackpot in the short round, come on.
Yeah.
Everybody's just like, man, I'd like to have that fast time. Then they make that. They're like, maybe last in the average would be nice.
There's not very many.
just go catch
We'll try to catch them, see if it falls our way.
I've
Yeah.
seen one other run this year that we were all kind of laughing about that. Nowadays, there's not very many runs that get made where you're like, that's first. Like, I don't care what happens. Yeah. Dustin does it, more than anybody probably that we hang out with. But Tanner and Patrick's run at Mercedes was
Oh, my gosh.
that was the perfect,
Really?
unbeatable.
I wish
team
we
roping
had
run.
it.
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, but it was just like that one. Just ding the barrier, all the head rope, right around the end of it, perfect rhythm. I mean,
You're just like, well, roping for second. Huh?
And
Yeah,
I
100%.
think it went 4-3 after that.
they
I think
won
it was
by over half
3-7.
second. They put everybody else in the 2D. I mean, it was amazing.
2D.
On a strong cow. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, oh, Loper, good job, guys. It
Yeah.
was like the hard runner and
Yeah.
just smacked him. But
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a fun game we get to play, huh, guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
Blessed.
cool.
It's fun when it's working.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
It's fun when it ain't, but it's really fun when it is.
it sure is. Well, guys, I sure appreciate you. And great job roping today. Thanks
you.
for coming up here and hanging out with me and sharing this stuff for everybody out there in Facebook land. I think it's pretty cool to hear that we are all pushing at our own levels. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you're a 4 that's just starting or you guys looking at, dissecting it every day. We're all trying it at our own levels, and it's really cool to be up here with you guys and hear what you guys are doing and how you're pushing and keeping the horses going and everything else. So,
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks for
thank
having
you.
us.
you betcha. Thanks, fellas. Great job. Great
Yes, sir.
roping.
Thanks, sir.
All right, everybody, that is going to wrap up day number 1 here at the Cinch National Finals of Team Roping down here with the champions, Andrew and Jake. And we're going to be back here at 8:30 in the morning. Make sure you go to roping.com where you can watch all of the ropings. You can watch them live tomorrow as well, or go to USTRC.com and check out the pay-per-view there. On behalf of all of us here at Yeti and the Cinch National Finals of Team Roping, it is the Open Roping. And, guys, thanks again.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
sir.
All right, everybody, we'll see you in the morning.
I'm on top, whole crew on top. Really, I'm on top.